The story of Boxy Boo is one of the most interesting creations from all of Playtime Co., and also one of the strongest characters. After the creation of Boxy Boo, Harley Sawyer visited his containment cell. The furious hunter roared and played his music box, while the doctor rejoiced in his success, proclaiming that the creature was the first of many, and that its mere existence opened up many possibilities, some presumably leading to immortality. Harley then decided that the hunter's appetite should be tuned to human flesh. He asked a nearby doctor to inform him about Rowan Stoll's situation. Boxy is one of the most violent, savage, and fascinating living toys in the Poppy Playtime franchise, also known as the Demon Inside the Box, a character who specifically appears in the spin-off Project Playtime. This monster is a sort of gigantic jack-in-the-box, with animalistic and uncontrollable behavior, attacking and devouring anyone who crosses its path with terrifying speed. Boxy Boo is not only brutal, but has a fascinating backstory. He was the first success of the Bigger Bodies initiative, paving the way for the creation of other experiments like Huggy Wuggy, Kissy Missy, Mommy Longlegs, and Catnap. That's why in this video I'm going to tell you all about his origin, appearance, personality, and abilities. So, get ready to dive into the story of Boxy Boo. As you know, it all starts with Playtime Co., a toy company that, on the surface, seemed innocent. In 1961, they created Brawn the dinosaur, and 5 years later, in 1966, Boxy Boo was born as a normal toy. Back then, Boxy was a moderate success, though he never reached the popularity of the Poppy dolls or Brawn. However, between the 60s and 80s, Playtime Co. began experimenting with something much darker. Using the regenerative properties of the poppy flower, scientists sought to revive the dead. This was a personal desire of Elliot Ludwig, the founder, who wanted to bring back his deceased daughter. Though we don't know exactly why, after Elliot's death, the experiments didn't stop. In the 80s, Dr. Harley Sawyer came into the picture. This genius earned the respect of everyone at the factory, and by the 90s, he proposed a radical solution to Playtime Co.'s problems, creating living toys to serve as a workforce. The company, facing lawsuits, severe employee injuries, and scandals like the Catnap plushies that caused nightmares in children, desperately accepted his plan. Thus, the Bigger Bodies initiative was born. Dr. Sawyer perfected a macabre surgical procedure, transferring a person's brain, nervous system, and part of their consciousness into a toy body, combining it with artificial organs and tissues to make it function. His first success was Boxy Boo, created in late March 1991. This giant monster turned out to be extremely aggressive and impossible to control. It didn't follow orders, nor could it be reasoned with. Even so, Sawyer considered it a triumph, claiming that Boxy was the first of many creations, and that it opened the door to possibilities like biological immortality. To achieve this, Sawyer used the children from the Home Sweet Home orphanage as test subjects, turning them into grotesque monsters like Boxy Boo and later Huggy Wuggy, Kissy Missy, Mommy Longlegs, and Catnap. The doctor regularly visited the cage where Boxy was kept trapped, observing him as the monster played his tune and roared at him furiously. It was then that Sawyer had a sinister idea: to feed Boxy human flesh to use him as a weapon against anyone investigating Playtime Co.'s secrets. Boxy Boo's first known victim was Rowan Stoll, an employee. Rowan didn't know about the experiments, but he began to suspect something strange was happening at the factory. He even mentioned a theory to Leith Pierre, then the CEO, that the Huggy Wuggy statue in the lobby had cameras in its eyes to spy on employees. Some visitors had also complained that the statue followed them with its gaze, and Rowan believed them. Determined to uncover the truth, Rowan investigated beyond what was allowed. He recorded a video warning future investigators about the dangers of Playtime Co., and wrote a farewell letter to his mother saying he had to leave for a while. Eventually, he reached the back area of the factory's theater where he was lured into a trap. There, behind the stage, was a large blue box. When Rowan approached, Boxy Boo sprang out quickly and brutally devoured him. His death was kept secret, and Sawyer continued using Boxy to eliminate anyone asking uncomfortable questions. Years later, in 1995, the Hour of Joy occurred, a chaotic event primarily caused by the prototype and Catnap. During this incident, Boxy Boo broke free from his cell with help from the prototype. It's said he devoured 2 employees in a hallway and, alongside the other experiments, caused a massacre in the factory, dragging the bodies into the depths to consume them over time. After the Hour of Joy, Playtime Co. tried to regain control by sending security teams and specialists into the abandoned factory, as seen in Project Playtime. However, these attempts ended in massacres, with Boxy Boo and the other experiments eliminating anyone who entered. So far, we don't know if Boxy is still alive, but if he is, we might see him in future chapters, perhaps as a cameo. There are many theories online about Boxy. For example, a while back, I thought Boxy Boo's death was pretty obvious right after the scene I'm showing you on screen. In Safe Haven's prayer room, there's a giant mural depicting the Poppy Playtime cast, both good and bad. There are crossed-out figures, ones we've killed, and a few others, including Boxy. To me, that meant we wouldn't see him again in later chapters unless it was through flashbacks. But then I started to change my mind, and I adopted this saying for myself. If I don't see a body, I can't believe he's dead. Huggy Wuggy is proof of that. I've also read and researched that many believe the prototype might have killed him, but I don't really agree. I actually think that to take down Boxy, you need Huggy Wuggy, Catnap, or Doughy at their best. I also wouldn't want Boxy to end up like Pianosaurus, where the developers said they had no plans for him. They added him too late to the story, so Doughy used him as a punching bag. Plus, speaking of Boxy, what's the point of mentioning him in the main game if he's never going to appear? Not everyone plays the spin-off, so some people have no idea who he is. If he's dead, there's no point in mentioning him in the main game, because then he's irrelevant. Now, I've got an ace up my sleeve that might prove we'll see Boxy Boo soon. We saw Boxy Boo in the Hour of Joy scene in Chapter 3, in a hallway, devouring people. In the Chapter 4 title screen, there's a TV screen showing a hallway very similar to the one where we see Boxy Boo eating people. Even the corpses are there. Could this foreshadow Boxy Boo's appearance in Chapter 5? Mob is intentionally keeping Boxy Boo hidden from us, I swear. We haven't seen him in person yet, but they keep teasing him in trailers, videos, and even the game itself. It would make sense if the game showed something indicating he was already dead, but let us see him for once. All that said, Boxy was the first successful experiment. I expect nothing less than a super special appearance, and for them to show us more of him. Boxy being dead? That's too boring for a character like him. He's the first bigger body, they mention him constantly, and the company valued him as a quick way to dispose of evidence and enemies. Plus, he's a numbered experiment, so I highly doubt he's dead. If he really is, Poppy, Sawyer, and many others could have revealed that info by now. I get the feeling the developers are dragging this character out, so people remember his importance while it's not his turn yet. I always thought he was deep in the abyss because they also call him the demon in the box. Fans would be really disappointed if he just died. It'd be a sign of weak programming and a flimsy story with lots of loose ends. Poppy Playtime has tons of stories we won't know about for now. All we can do is theorize and wait. It's worth mentioning that a big YouTuber heard the Mob director say this. We'll have a 5th chapter, and maybe a 6th, so we might only have 2 more chapters left to uncover everything. Analyzing further, the factory is massive. I'm sure there are places with tons of hidden stuff. There's really so much to discover, and being optimistic, Boxy must be wandering somewhere deep in the factory. I'm eager to see what the next levels are like. Maybe Boxy's in the section with the sleeping orphans, protecting them so no one can reach them or something like that. I wouldn't be surprised if he showed up in the last chapter. Boxy Boo is established as a pretty mindless killing machine. Jokes from scientists about throwing Harley to Boxy Boo on tapes, etc. As we know, the prototype is collecting toys for his body, so eaten toys don't really work for that. Catnap, Mommy Longlegs, etc. are on the prototype's payroll, and Huggy is a necessary evil to keep toys from escaping. But Boxy Boo? I could imagine him as a last circle guard maybe, occasionally fed scraps, kept under control, while the prototype is still building himself to completion. Plus, it builds anticipation. Might sell more merch that way, or who knows, something even more interesting could happen. Sometimes I sit and imagine the real Doctor, Harley Sawyer waiting for us at the end of the factory's final level, dressed in a tuxedo and holding huge steel chains tied to Boxy, just waiting for the player. He labels the player a traitor and wants to eliminate them, which leads to another question. What's the player's true identity? Well, that'll be content for another video.